Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Lori Smith on Blog Talk Radio. I am so glad to be here tonight. We have a great show lined up. We have Ray Luskin with us here again tonight, and Ray Luskin, she's gonna be showing us, some awesome things that we can do when time hasn't, healed all those wounds. You know what I mean? There's art, is a huge. Like, I'm trying to use art in my own healing journey, right? So this is going to be great. It's a great show for me, personally, and I hope that it's a great show for all the listeners here who are going to be listening live. If you're listening live, make sure you grab, or if you're listening to the archive, grab your crayons, grab your pencils, your colored markers, whatever, and grab some paper and just join on in. You don't have to be an artist, you don't have to be some sort of a talented artist. This is about letting our own creative expression, come through us, so that we can work through some things and allow art to help us to heal. So welcome, Ray. I'm so glad that you're here.
Hi, Lorianne. I'm so glad to be here. So,
yay.
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 I know we were on a roll. We were going like every month, and then this last month something came up and I couldn't do it, and so it's like, now we're back.
That's right. Yay. I'm excited. So, I know everybody else is too. There's a lot of people that were very excited about this show, so I hope that they're all here and stuff. I got the chat room open there, and everybody, we have Gypsy Witch here with us already. Hello, Gypsy Witch. Glad that you can be here.
Gypsy Witch,
Yep. And I know there's a few other people that were going to hopefully try to be here too. So, this is wonderful, right? Like, tell us a little bit about, what we're going to do tonight and what you've been doing. And, because I know, I wish that I lived a little closer to you. I would, to be able to get in on your workshops and to get in on your, on the one-on-one work that you do with people.
Right. Well, I've been trying to figure out ways to work with people long distance, and I think I figured it out. So hopefully if anybody wants to work with me later on after the show and we've listened, you can apply for a strategy session, and we'll see if it works for you, because I think I can do some coaching with some assignments and lessons, and then you can just send it to me and we can talk about it, and so it'll be fun. And I think at some point in the fall I'm hoping to do a webinar series so that anybody who wants to join in can. I'm just not quite there yet, so
yeah.
It's a process, as I was saying to you earlier, for me to actually, so much of what I've done is intuitive, to actually sit down and figure it out in a written form. What have I done? What has made the difference in my life? I've spent a long time in the healing process, as you know. We've talked about this. I used to say it is a 40-year journey, but I actually, for the first time in my life, I'm saying I'm healed. This is a huge thing, so different for me. I was stuck. I'd been in 12 years of regular talk therapy, and then I began my journey into self-help world, and I had read over 1,000 books and completed all the exercise at the end of the chapter. I became a workshop junkie and traveled the world to work with healers and shamans. And then I had this therapist who said, draw your pain, and it was like this light bulb moment in my life. And the artwork took me on through, huge transformation in my life. And I guess what I need to do is share it with people, and that's what I've been leading up to in the last couple of years is writing that down and sharing that journey that I can say that, I want to quiet the voice in my head that said I was broken and unlovable. And no matter how many years I was in therapy, that was still there, and I had all these, I had to be able to stop patterns and years of behavior based on assumptions that it wasn't safe in the world, and then finally, too, I wanted to be my true self. I felt like I'd hid from the world most of the time, and that kept me from having really wonderful relationships with my friends and family, and I don't feel that way anymore. I'm not ashamed of my past. I'm not embarrassed by it. I don't have to hide from my story, and I attribute 99% of it to art. It's just, is what I'm calling, my whole system is called Art from My Heart, which is the name of my book, my self-discovery book. But I really just want to talk about the art piece, because I think it's really something that everybody can use, and when you're feeling helpless, and it'll take you to make you feel more hopeful, because it's some simple tools, and that's, trying to break that down. So that's why I'm here tonight, because I think, that it's something everybody can access for themselves, and it can work wonders in letting you, you'll feel less overwhelmed and fearful of life. You're able to access that sense of well-being and inner peace that wasn't always available to you. And, I think we all react to certain situations, and we can change that if we realize we have a choice and we can respond in new ways that bring us joy and happiness.
Right.
So
and that's a good thing, because that's what we need. There's so many people out here, like just like we titled the show. When time doesn't heal all the wounds, or hasn't healed all the wounds. There's so many people out here who are really hurting, and like we know, been there, and
people have to go through a 40-year journey that I went through. Not that there was anything wrong in my passage, and it took a long time, but it was like, wow, I realized that, that was, 2/3 of my life, and so much of it, I didn't live the life I was meant to live, because I was afraid. I wasn't allowing myself to shine. I wasn't going after my passions, because there was that fear, and the underlying messages that just wouldn't go away.
Yeah, and just kept you back.
Many of us who have lived by that and believe that we are doomed by our past, that we have to live that life over and over again.
Right, and that's, I think that's more common than people realize. Like, I know that was, in my case, that's what I thought too for many, many years. And, a sense of realization kind of came along about 4 years ago when I started my healing journey, that, hey, I don't have to live that life. You know what I mean? I can change it. I don't have to. So I started to change those behavior patterns of thinking, the thinking, the real negative thinking, and just ways of coping that I had been using for so long,
Right, and we don't even realize we're doing it. I mean, that's what's amazing. We just know we're not really happy, or we're uncomfortable, or something doesn't feel right, and we're not even realizing that every day we're allowing that past story to be the focus of our lives.
Right, and I think it's because it's something I think a lot of people can relate to, and survivors of abuse and whatnot, and I think it's just a pattern that you get used to. If you live that way for so long, you
don't know any better, and
you may not even recognize it, right?
Right, and you shut down your intuition, that heart-centered message, that the higher self, all those voices that are really there to tell you and can guide you. We don't listen to them, we dismiss them.
Right. So like your journey's amazing, and I think that like you said, you've pretty well tried it all. You were out there experimenting with everything because you really wanted to heal, and you were like, I'm going to try it all because I'm going to do this. You know what I mean? And so this was really obviously working with art to help others, which helped yourself, and to show others that, hey, this may, this can be useful, this can be a tool, and this can allow us to use our own creative expression. We don't have to be artists. We don't have to be.
Oh, not at all. I mean, truly. I mean, your gift is writing. So now you've written these beautiful, books, and everybody's got something else, and it could be gardening, it can be cooking, it is the way you parent or treat, you love your animals. I mean, creativity is this much broader definition than we make it. We make it about being an artist, but it's not. So it's about creative expression. Now I'm using the word art just because my book is called Art from My Heart, and I created this little acronym, which I'll tell you more about as we go on. But yeah, it's about creative expression. I feel that we have that ability to model it for other people. You and I, when we talk about it, and we're doing it, and we're living our lives that way. And so that's the gift. I mean, how many people have heard dancers, their movement, their music, they write a piece of poetry, and it may be only once in their life, but wow, what a change in them after they've done that.
Right, that's true, and what it does for other people too, because it, in them doing that, for instance, what you're doing with your gift of sharing, through the arts and with art and using art to help people, just like others that writes music or write poetry or whatever they do, or just their kindness that they show towards you, that really does sort of start to rub off on you. You know what I mean? Like I can't help but get through my day when I see work like that you've done and other people that have done. It really does rub off on me. You know what I mean? Because it's, even though it's something that you were using possibly even at one point to help yourself, then I take that and I say, wow, that is so great. You know what I mean? It's awesome.
I mean, I use it on a daily basis just because, stuff happens, stuff comes up, challenges. Everybody's faced with them. It may not be the deep-seated wound, but we all have stuff that comes up. The kids are mad at us. Our parents are sick. We're in a financial crisis today. Somebody took our idea at work. Whatever it is, I mean, we all have stuff. And so I use it that way. I can, and there are days, okay, I got to get my energy up, so I'll just have a dialogue with myself, and I'll draw whatever I'm feeling. Last week I felt like, I just couldn't feel what it was, and all of a sudden I'm drawing this, and it's just a stick figure for me too, even though I can draw a body beautiful. This big dark black cord that was going from my heart down to my pelvis, and I was like, what the hell is that? Excuse my language. But it was like I was so surprised, but that's what was going on inside of me, and I dialogued with it, worked it through, and let it go.
Wow. See, that's amazing, and that's interesting, because that right there is, it's a real example of the process that it takes to work through some of this stuff. Because all of us have things in our life, like you're saying, at any given time, any one of us could have some crisis type thing going on that just really can bring you down. And if you just, I know for myself, I used to tend to just stuff this stuff, because growing up the way that I did it and just having to deal with so much stuff all the time, I just grew into a pattern of just stuffing everything and not allowing myself to feel what I needed to feel or express what I needed to feel. It was like, no, it's okay. I'm rolling with the punches. It's all right. And pretty soon I just started to implode, because I didn't want to explode on people. I didn't want to hurt people. So I just started to implode, because I didn't have any way. I felt that I didn't have any way to let it out. And so this is a really good example of what a person can do, and you can walk us through this, and I'm sure that we will kind of cover this here today, but this is great, because this is
I will. I love to do that. Yeah. So, I mean, as I said, my process is called, art, and it's 3 steps, and it's A is for accessing and acknowledging the negative messages in your head. R is for responding and releasing them from your body, and T is for transformation and triumph, finding the gifts of your experience.
All right.
The first thing, I want everybody to get their pad of paper and their pen or crayons or whatever, because the first thing that comes up whenever I use the word art or creative expression is, I can't, I'm afraid, I'm a terrible artist, I'm not creative, I can't draw. We're going to just sing now to get beyond that.
Right, that's right.
So I want you to take your pen or your crayon and put it in your non-dominant hand.
Okay.
Hold your paper with your other hand.
Okay.
Close your eyes and scribble. There is no right or wrong here. How could there be? Your eyes are closed and you're using your non-dominant hand. The idea is, if you can do this, you'll be successful with my program, because it's as simple as that. I'm not asking you to be an artist. You obviously can change it and work it to bigger and better things, but this is the basis of my process here.
Mm-hmm.
So how did that feel for you?
It's interesting, because you're using your non-dominant hand, so you're allowing your other side to work. It's cool, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to balance the left and right brain when we draw, because words come from the left side of the brain, and they help define experiences. We associate meaning and judgment to them. Think about the word ugly. How many stories come up in our head? You probably tell me the first time someone called you stupid or crazy, right? The left brain gives meaning to those words, right or wrong, good or bad. And then this, I really believe, determines our expectations of ourselves and how we judge ourselves. But they're not real. It's just the way the brain interprets it, but we make it real. Researchers have done a lot of work on how many thoughts we have a day, and they say that we have 60,000 thoughts a day, and as many as 45,000 are negative. It's really sad, that we spend our lives doubting ourselves and wounding ourselves over and over again by saying something negative. Right. There was a recent study in Glamour that reported that women said they were ugly at least 19 times a day to themselves, and many much more.
That's interesting.
Casimir, I look I look terrible. Oh, look at that. I see that wrinkle. Look at my eye. Oh, I've got this crease here. What am I going to...
Right.
I mean...
Look at that gray hair.
Exactly. Oh, yeah. The question becomes, how do we, interrupt those patterns and that we create, and the way that I've determined it is, and I'm just trying to explain a little bit about this process that I've thought it through, is that, we've heard the term, an image is worth 1,000 words. Well, it's true, the right side of the brain creates images, and there is no judgment attached to those. So here we're working together, as I said, the R is for respond and release. Every emotion we experience is expressed in a feeling sensation in our bodies before the left side of our brain identifies it and translates it into words. There have been a lot of studies showing that we retain cellular memory of trauma and wounds. There's Dr. Peter Levine. I don't know if you're familiar with his work. He does a lot of work on body trauma. And he suggested that the unresolved traumas are stored in the body through the flight or fright experience,
Right. Yeah.
And, and they've done studies at Mayo's where they interviewed women who had fibromyalgia, and they found that 75% of them were victims of sexual abuse. Well, I'm sure they have a whole lot of unhealed unhealed traumas,
right.
and wounds. So I think that we are, by doing this process, and they've been doing a lot of research, obviously, we know about working with cancer patients and using meditation and creative expression, that being involved in a creative process has been found to improve blood pressure, strengthen the immune system, reduce rates of stroke, cancer, and heart disease. I mean, documented. So why aren't we doing it for ourselves,
Right. No, you're so right, Ray, because I've been looking into this too for a long time, and just I was reading what's put out there, because the research is just flying in, and I mean they really and I kind of because I'm not a scientist, right, and I sit around and I think about it, and I think, okay, that's true, because I know when I'm sitting in my own place, my own apartment, let's say, and I'm having actually a really good day, and I'm breathing, normally, and I'm relaxed and I'm calm and I've done something good for myself that day. I mean, my body feels better,
Right.
And then I just notice these things. I'm like, wow, I actually feel decent today. I'm breathing properly. I'm not tensed up, not stressed out. And so therefore I'm not holding my body all tensed out. And then I think of the other days where you're just having a really bad day, maybe a little over anxious about something or uptight, and you're not breathing well, not breathing properly, breathing shallow, and not relaxing, not meditating, just in a state of kind of even maybe anger about something or whatever, and your body just starts to feel awful, like the muscles start to tense up, and before I know it, I'm sitting hunched over and grumpy and not breathing well, and then I think, it definitely has a direct effect on your day,
Right, and
and on your body.
We forget it. It's like this simple little tool that all of us could do. We can all breathe. We can all take minutes to meditate, and we can take 5 minutes to take out our crayons and change our day,
Right. It's just these little things that we can do, like, and on one of the last shows that we did about, you were actually kind of guiding me through some meditation. That show actually, I had forgot about meditation, which is just kind of silly, but it's true. And so when we were doing that show, I realized, like, wow, this is what I need. I really need this. So I've been working since our show to try to incorporate that. Yeah, and it does help, and I had really, until you worked with me on that, and another friend actually is working with me on that too. But this is, I wasn't really thinking about using that to help myself, to breathe properly, to relax, and just allow myself to just be at peace, allow my body to be at peace, allow my mind to be at peace, And so it's very important for people who, like Ray, and anybody out here, like survivors of abuse, really, it's so important to do these little things for ourselves,
Right, because it is a cumulative effect, and doing it once is great, but it needs to be on a consistent basis, for all of us, and it doesn't mean every day, every minute, but enough that you know that it's there for you. It becomes a habit. They say you need to do something at least 28 days before it becomes a habit. And when we do, it's part of our self-care plan. That's how I look at it, We need to take charge of our lives and make a choice to heal. And that choice includes whatever those tools are that work best for you.
That's right. That's exactly right. So I think it's great. And I appreciate the tips and the information, because,
Thank you.
It's awesome.
Well, great. All right, I'm going to go to my T, which is for transformation and triumph, and that's about what is the gift of the experience or feeling. What different choices would you make in your life? How would you live your life differently? We all know people who've done that. Oprah. She is the queen of transformation and triumph. And who do we know in this community. You know, how many, you know, the mom who had their child abducted, and so they have Amber Alerts. So these are people who've actually taken that pain and they've made it a gift to themselves. And that's what I think is really important, and we have to dialogue about that in some way and find out what that gift is. You know, you used to say how to make lemonade out of lemons, and now I just say we take plain old cocoa beans and turn them into rich dark chocolate.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so what I'd like to do is now take you through the process, okay? Yes, because, you know, I'm conscious of the time because, you know, we did run out once when we were doing this.
It's easy for us to do that. We actually
I think we got cut off is what happened the last time, you know. So,
it does happen every now and then, right? It's unfortunate.
Yeah, but today it's not going to happen, so we're in good shape. So I'd like you to take a deep breath.
Okay.
Everybody, just take a deep breath. Breathe in through the nose and exhale through the mouth. Take another one. Imagine breathing in pure white, beautiful light and breathing out color. Take 3 more breaths and feel that bright white light coming into you, and you're breathing out color. And each time you breathe, you feel your body relax. Each time you exhale, it relaxes more and more. Allow your attention to move away from your breathing and let it drift to a place in your body where you may be holding tension or worry. Allow your intuition to direct you. As you are drawn to that area, be totally present in the experience. Take another breath. Focus on the issue that you would like to feel better about. Allow yourself to feel whatever you're feeling in the moment. This doesn't have to be a really painful, traumatic experience. It can be the kids fighting, as we said before, or maybe you feel a little neglected by your husband, or you had a fight with your sister. In fact, you could just feel empty or numb today. We are only taking a snapshot in this particular moment in time. And if you are at peace, that is wonderful. Be in the moment. Just allow yourself to be present. Where are you feeling this tension and worry? Where in your body? What shape is it? Does it have a color? What texture is it? When you have that information, open your eyes and draw it. So take a few moments to do that.
Okay.
And I'm going to let you guide me, Lori, into when you're finished so that we do the next step. So you're the host, and I'll go with what you... Take your time, and I'm going to be quiet now while you do your work.
Okay.
Or play, as the case may be.
Oh, drop my crayon.
Okay.
Okay.
Take your time. Everybody, she's still here. We're here. We didn't go off the air. We're just processing a little.
Okay, I've got mine.
Okay. So the second step is respond and release. So I want you to sort of step back from your image and take a look at it and think about how does it make you feel. Does it remind you of any old memories? What about the color, the shape, the texture? If this image could talk, what would it be saying to you? Imagine giving it a voice in your head. Maybe you're getting another image instead of words. spend a few minutes now dialoguing with your image. You can take your pen and write on a piece of paper next to it, over it, in any way that works for you.
So we're going to just dialogue about it, or we're going to talk to it and tell it something? Like
either one. This is open for you. When I say dialogue, allow it to talk to you too. If it has something to say, listen to it and then respond. This is really tapping into your higher self. This is starting to tap into your intuition, finding out what your inner voice is saying. So, I would suggest when you do this kind of work that you keep a journal, because you just keep it, you date it, you can do it right in your journal, and then you write as you go. And as I said, if an image is coming to you, if a color is calling to you, it's like, oh my God, I need blue, and you just create whatever you need to do with that blue color.
Okay, I got mine.
Okay, now I'm going to ask, when you're doing this, there's one other piece of this that I think is important. If you've got something that you've been hanging on to, ask it, can you let go of it? Ask your inner voice, is this something I can let go of?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
If no, ask, when can I? Ask, why can't I? Pay attention to whatever answers come up.
Okay. I got it.
Good. I don't know. Sometimes, I'll get messages like, okay, Ray, you need to take good care of yourself. Go for a walk. Get out in nature. Have a good cry. Be creative. Mm-hmm. Sit and journal. So I don't know if any of those things came up for you, but when I get to that place, I get those messages, and then it's about paying attention to them and doing them and taking the action steps.
Right, because that's interesting, because what this does is I'm starting to see that what it does is, really for what it did for me, is just kind of allow me to see, to get in touch with myself in a way that I might not have thought about before. That's interesting, for sure.
Oh, good. Okay.
Because I've been doing some inner child work, you know what I mean, like quite a bit actually, and so I've been able to really get in touch with quite a bit of myself and my feelings and things like this, and my feelings that I had so long ago and also now. But this exercise was really interesting because it allowed me to sort of get in touch with some of my actual physical pain, you know what I mean, which I haven't done. I've been looking more at my emotional issues rather than the physical stuff, and so that's interesting. I
this will move it out of you because physically you are releasing it because you're writing, you're drawing, you're just not thinking about it. And then again, you can take it to that other level, obviously, about taking good care of yourself and whatever physical releases. I think we've talked about, sometimes you got to get angry and go out and scream or kick a ball or whatever, So,
pound a pillow or something.
Right, exactly. And it's amazing, at least for me, because I look at it as stuck energy. I think that's what happens. The old memories are stuck energy, and how do you let them go? And so
without
we
hurting
have
yourself or somebody else. You don't want
ourselves.
Right, that's right. And and there's ways to do it without hurting yourself or hurting somebody else. I mean, I've looked into that too, and you could buy one of those one of those boxer punching boxer things. Hang those up and start practicing boxing, or you can just like they say, even punching a pillow, just allows you to let some of that out that you may feel like, oh, I can't do that, I don't want to. It's because it's not ladylike, right? I mean, some of us were brought up to behave ourselves and not act that way. You know what I mean? And so some people might think, oh, I can't do that. I can't allow myself to show those emotions, right? And so that stuff just gets trapped in there, And,
right. And what's nice about this journal is the place where you can show the emotions. It doesn't hurt anybody. You can access them. You can access and talk to them and find out really what you need to do to change it. Because I do believe the body has the inner wisdom. We do have that,
Yeah, I agree with that.
The third part is called transformation. And so this time, I'd like you to close your eyes again and take several deep breaths.
Okay.
And then I want you to allow your thoughts to move to your heart, the heart center. I believe that's where we reside most in our souls and our higher self. If there is a physical place within our bodies, that's where I believe it is.
Mm-hmm.
And ask your heart to present a healing symbol that will replace within your body and mind the stress, the pain, the overwhelm.
Okay.
Focus upon the gift of the experience. What is it you learned? What can you take away from this? Ask your heart for a symbol to represent the transformation or the gift of the experience to you. Do you need to forgive yourself or someone else? Do you need to take better care of yourself, just like we were talking about? Maybe you need to open your heart and practice random acts of kindness. When the process is complete, send loving energy to yourself, your heart center, and your higher self. Thank your body, your innate wisdom for communicating with you. Open your eyes and draw your image.
Okay. Oh, this is fun. I am loving this. Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay. Yeah, I love this part because this really just shows you where you can go and where you can start and where you can end,
Mm-hmm.
So when you're looking at this, think about, after you've drawn your image, are there any similar shapes or forms to the other one that you drew? Are you prone to using one color or line or shape over another? And does it have any meaning to you? It may or may not. Do the colors you choose reflect how you really feel at this moment? Are there any themes that are appearing to you? Any surprises? Sometimes we're surprised, like, wow, I didn't even know I was thinking that.
Yeah.
And spend a few minutes journaling about this exercise.
Okay, still coloring here.
Okay, keep coloring. Take your time. This is really important because you deserve this. You are, just like everybody else, just because you're the host, maybe even more. We don't, when we are in that position, we don't take the time to take care of ourselves as well as some other people might.
Yeah.
we need to entertain you, take care of you, nurture you. I mean, that's both of our personalities. So take the time now, Lori, to do this.
Okay. I'm doing it.
All right.
You betcha. I'm working on it as we speak. Now this is great. Yep, I'm loving this. Okay. Okay.
So, do you want to share a little bit about your experience with this last step?
Yeah, with the T, the triumphing, and the actual.
Yeah, the transformation.
The transformation.
And triumph.
Yeah, from my heart. Well, I was looking, at what symbol, I guess, sort of would represent like healing to me, for my heart, and as most of us who have been abused, have had to deal with so much, right? And so I'm always looking for peace, And so from my heart, I could see a bird in flight, and a really beautiful blue bird, and sunshine. So those are the symbols really for healing for my heart, the idea of peace, freedom. The bird is free to fly, peaceful, serene skies, just the beautiful, warm sunshine, kind of a warm feeling in my heart, peaceful, that's what the vision. That's what I got for the vision, right?
Mhm.
And sort of just wrote that down as part of the, as actually journaling for it, right? It's just saying to me that, that there is freedom, that I don't have to be stuck in this pain anymore, and that, eventually the pain will ease, and there'll be more ability to fly, just a little bit more higher, just a little bit more freer. That bird represents, I guess, freedom to me, to be myself, to enjoy life, right? To actually enjoy it, and to not hold back, and not allow myself to sort of spend so much time in the grieving. I need to grieve, and everybody has to go through the processes. But where I was years ago, I was just always grieving, and so I guess now I can see in the progress that I'm making that this is just saying to me that it's coming, it's working. You know what I mean? It's things are better.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
And what I would love for you to do is, take a picture of this, keep it with you, so when you're feeling some of that stress or pain that comes forward, and it does it obviously always, at different times, something hits us, have that with you, because it's a great reminder. It'll actually deepen your breathing, just because if you can just breathe that in for a second, it'll change everything, because that's what's your symbol, and that's what's important about this. No two people have the same symbol.
Yeah.
And if you're so inclined to even get more creative, you can do more with that and create a whole piece around this, and do more and collect images of birds and sunrises or whatever they are, or whatever that piece, and take it to a bigger piece and make a visual, like a vision board or collage or combination of different materials. So that it really is a statement from your heart, and this is what I call soul drawing, which is what my workshop is next week. It's taking that, whatever those the beginning steps, and then drawing from the soul. This is what we're doing. And that in itself is just a beautiful process. Yeah,
absolutely. That's great.
Oh, good. Yay. Well, I wanted to share one of my success stories, with one of my clients, that I'll just sort of tell you a little bit about her, just because I think it also shows the different ways it can be used, Susan came to me after, years of 12-step groups, treatment, and therapy. She was really stuck. So we started with accessing and acknowledging the fears and the stresses and the wounds that plagued her, and we kept doing this over and over because, it's not a one-stop shop and it's not instantaneous. It's a process, and you do it over, and you can collect, like I said, journal about this. But one image she drew that was so surprising was, she called it the Stepford wife. She felt, as we talked, she felt if you really knew her, you would think she was ugly and you would not love her. So early on in her life, she decided she had to be perfect and do everything perfectly. So she laid out, she had 7 kids, and every morning she'd lay out their clothes, she cooked and cleaned, she baked fresh bread every day. She was exhausted. She basically hid in her house. She had no time to make friends, and she used pills to keep her going through the day. But once we started able to acknowledge that, what she was really feeling, she was able to have a dialogue, with her wounded child who needed to be perfect. And over time she was able to finally see that it wasn't the truth of the matter, that she was a beautiful person. She wasn't ugly. People weren't going to run, when they knew the true her. And so little by little, she was able to let go of controlling her kids every move. She was able to delegate responsibility to them. They learned to clean their rooms, do their laundry. They developed their own sense of style with clothing. They became more self-sufficient. And as she did, she found that she had more energy and enjoyed life more herself, And I think one of the pieces that that's important too is when you do this work, it changes, and some of the questions and things. It's like you start asking, well, what brings you joy? What was it maybe in a childhood experience that was your personal creative expression that used to bring you joy? And as you said, we start stuffing it. We shut down. We don't do those things anymore. And in her case, she used to be a singer. She used to love to sing in the church choir, and she just shut down. She didn't have music in her house, nothing. And so eventually just set up sort of like a action plan, I want to call it, step by step. She introduced music to her house. She started singing in the shower. She did karaoke night with her family. And then eventually she actually joined the church choir. And she just changed right before your eyes. I mean, it was a gift. She stood taller. She smiled more. She made new friends and created this whole new community. She found joy for herself. And so there are different ways to use this process, and it's like, again, it's just knowing that it's what we tell ourselves in our head is different than what's in our heart and our body, and we have to find those ways to access it. Yeah. So.
Well, that's interesting for sure. That is very interesting. That's awesome. That's an awesome story, and I think that, that's very hopeful for a lot of people, because I know, it's these little things, that people, that you forget that you used to do. You know what I mean? That used to bring you pleasure, that used to, sort of not define who you are, but sort of allow people to see the gifts that you have within you, and all of a sudden you shut it off, and you say, oh, I can't, you develop these, over time, this doesn't happen overnight, but through time, and so much, going on, people can actually lose that part of themselves, and it's great to see somebody who rediscovers that and rediscovers their, the part of themselves that they had shut away.
Right. And and I think we all have creative expression. As we said, it's a very broad definition of it. That's right. I think that truly is a gift. It's transformational. I think it's essential to everybody's health.
Absolutely.
This other woman I work with, her name was Anna, and she had, like I said, she had cellular memory, which caused a lot of physical and emotional pain for her. And she'd been molested when she was only 3, and she carried it with her into her adulthood. So she suffered a lot of physical aches and pains. She had acne, fibromyalgia, migraines, and so she was either sick or depressed most of the days. And so she laid there uncommunicated, and she lost a lot of her clients. She couldn't work, and so, but once she started to dialogue with her wisdom, she could see that she needed to make some changes. And that's what I think is nice about this process. It's about you seeing it, not me telling you what it is or what you should do. It's about you finding a way into yourself and what you need. And so she started moving more in a physical way. She started walking at the Botanic Gardens, just like 10 minutes a day. And all of a sudden she had a little bit more energy. She realized she needed to be able to tell people her story in her own voice and stand in her power. That was essential for her healing. So she started doing improv classes. She took improv classes, and she's become a wonderful storyteller,
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, once she's able to release those emotional wounds, I mean, she had, all of a sudden she could work. She could pay her bills. She felt better about herself and her life. And that's what I love about this is I'm not telling you you're finding it for yourself, because I do believe the answers are inside you, and we just have to find what technique works well for you to find that answer.
Right, that's right. I totally agree with you. I'm starting to see that too, and I'm especially over this last 6 months, I'd say, you know what I mean? I'm really starting to see wow, the answers are really right inside of me, and they have been the whole time. I just got to get in touch with them, and because over especially the last year or two, I've been really working on it, you know what I mean, and really focusing on finding what's going to work and what's going to make me feel better, what's going to bring me out of this, state of kind of feeling like I'm sort of stuck, you know what I mean? And so it's good because I know, even for myself, that's sort of been what's happening lately, is just allowing myself to do these little things that that would help myself that most people would probably have no problem doing, you know what I mean? But because I've just pushed them off for so long, you know what I mean?
And well, we set up our own resistance, you know, and it's like, more work. I'm not sure I want to do that today, you know. Sometimes it's unfortunate we become familiar with the pain, and it's easier to be in the pain than try something new. You know, I mean, I think that's the nature of a lot of people.
I think so too, and I think it's you know, sometimes you just feel, and this can happen to anybody, you know what I mean? Just getting to the point where you just feel so tired and you just feel so stuck that you just think, you know, you just sort of sit around in your own misery, you know what I mean? And that's not good, you know what I mean? It's really not. I've been really blessed to have a lot of people in my life, you know, who really are here for me, like on a regular basis, and you know, check in with me and make sure I'm okay, and you know, really just brighten my day, you know, because some people don't have that support. That's why I wish and I hope that whoever's listening, because I know we have all of our good friends here in the chat room. We have Gypsy Witch, we have Lindsay Tolson, we have Maisie here with us, and I hope that people, you know, who are listening live, who are not in the chat room, or people who are listening to the archive, you know, if you're a survivor and you're really having a hard time, you know, you reach out. You make sure you reach out, because that was the key to my healing journey, was to reach out. I was sitting alone in suffering in my own pain for so long, and you know, and didn't really even realize that there was that I could reach out. You know what I mean? It just didn't seem to me like that would be something that would help me. And once I started to reach out, I mean, I can't even tell you, like, that has really been what's made the difference in my healing journey. Because
right. And if you can't find somebody physically in your community, use an online program. You know, I mean, there are so many different groups that you can join that have live chats going on all the time. You know, it depends where you are in your life. But there are ways to create the community you want.
That's right.
You know, I'm hoping all the people out there, you know, that I put it out as an intention that we start creating safe and healing spaces within our larger community for people to come forward. That it's not, people aren't afraid to tell the truth, to tell their story, you know, whether it's in a church or another organization. And, you know, there's still such a stigma at times, and people are so afraid that, you know, there are so many people still stuck in the silence. And I believe we've got to find that way to bring it out.
Yeah, that's right. And I think, you know, that's just it. You know, and I see that sort of seems to be the way things are. What I've noticed, there is a whole lot of that, just, you know, really beginning. People are really starting to reach out, and you know, two other people who are suffering and say, look, you can do this, you know, and it's great. It's such an awesome thing to see, you know, and it's just these little things, like something as simple as this, like soul drawing, you know what I mean? And this has been quite interesting, this exercise. Like, can I tell you about the first one where we did
go
the
ahead.
A?
Yeah, I should have asked you then. I'm sorry.
No, it's just interesting what came out, because when we first started doing the drawing, and for assessing, or that was just to allow ourselves to draw with our non-dominant hand, or to scribble, right? And so I started scribbling, and I used a pink crayon, and what I was doing was, in my mind, I was scribbling a flower, right? And then when I opened my eyes, because we were supposed to close our eyes, right? So I opened up my eyes, and I had drawn a little girl in a little tutu, like a little pink, little ballet tutu. And
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. That's our inner child. Wow.
Oh, totally. She's there, and I just wanted to make sure I mentioned that, because that was supposed to be just a round flower, but what it came out was a little girl with a face and everything, and the hair and her arms and feet. She's in a little pink, like a ballerina tutu, and I just wanted to pass this on, because that was not intentional. That was just, I was just scribbling, and what I thought I was scribbling was a flower, because it seemed like a flower to me. And when I opened my eyes, that's your soul speaking to you. That's a gift. You know, it's like. That's why I ask, are you surprised? You know, are there ever, you know, I'm constantly surprised at what comes out. It's like all of a sudden I'm like, oh, look at that. And, you know, and when you just, I mean, and if you don't even want to do, you know, like the scribble exercise, you can do that in a bigger way. And I think we did this once on the show, was have you first with one hand, with non-dominant hand, then pick another crayon and do it with your non-dominant hand. And then have one crayon in each hand and color, you know, and scribble. Yeah.
And then after that, then spend time just coloring. I believe that you can just, just color and just allow whatever happens, and that will bring you into that meditative state. That will lower your blood pressure. That will bring out your endorphins, and improve your your immune system. I mean, it's. And if you can't even do that, get a coloring book. Go to the dollar store, buy a coloring book, and keep it at your desk. And when you're starting to feel stressed, just start coloring. There is a calming effect just by a repetitive action there.
That's right. I actually did that not too long ago. I went out and got a coloring book for my inner child because I realized that I needed to do that. And so I bought some crayons and I bought a coloring book, and we did some coloring together with my non-dominant hand. And it was fun. It was a lot of fun, and I hope that people realize it's not, something to be afraid of. Like it's just allowing yourself to reach into yourself, and just express that part of yourself that you normally wouldn't, that you wouldn't see. You wouldn't even possibly notice it. You know what I mean? It's great. You don't have to color in the lines. You can just, you can just. And
our suggestion is really want to tap into your creativity and really push it. Imagine coloring each page different in your coloring book. I did that as an exercise. It was amazing, I mean, when you have to do it every page differently, you really, you got to think through this and really tap into that creative part of you. So it's fun. It takes you to another level.
Yeah, oh, totally. Like, absolutely. That is so awesome. It's amazing. So, the second one that we did, the responding, and we were looking at what pain we might have in our body that we could, when we were focusing in. Mm-hmm. And what I could feel was, like, some pain that I always have right under my shoulder blades, like right in the back under my shoulder blades. And I thought, well, okay, I'm going to see what that is, right? And he said, okay, try to see what shape it is. And I could picture this kind of a long black line, or dark purple line going across. And then I thought, it's got teeth, right? And so I drew what I was drawing, and I drew like a saw with teeth. And then you said to go ahead and journal about it. So I wrote, I am pain under your shoulder blades. I am the saw with teeth. And then when you said, okay, you can write, like, maybe you can journal and ask the question, when can I let go of this? Can I let go of this? Is this something I can let go of at a future date, or what can I do to work on this? And the answer I got was not yet. Some of the teeth are still sharp. So okay, that's what I got. But it's just allowing ourselves to see into ourselves.
You're allowing the possibility of letting it go. That's what's really huge is you're making that space available for the universe to allow it to just go.
Yeah.
And I don't think, I think that's something we have to teach, that isn't taught, that you have to allow and make space for and give room for opportunities and change. And we don't do that enough,
right.
At least in my world.
No, I think most people don't. And I think that's where, I enjoy and I appreciate your encouraging the work that you do, you know what I mean? Because, and other people, like so many people, there's just so many, we could spend 2 shows talking about them. People that are willing to share this stuff, because we may not think of this stuff, you know what I mean?
Right.
That's why I love what you're doing, and I think that, you're having a workshop coming up, and then you're going to see about working with people sort of on a one-on-one basis.
Right, exactly. I really think it's important to offer this, because I think I know I can coach it over the phone, and we'll work it out, and I'll give assignments, and we'll get some feedback, because again, it's you interpreting it. It's not me interpreting it, for you. It's encouraging you, giving you some concrete steps, action steps to take. Here's an exercise, and and some dialogue back and forth. So I would suggest you go to my website, Ray Luskin, RaeLuskin.net, and there's a gift tab. It's the last tab, and under there you can get, there's a little piece about actually using art for healing in hospitals and stuff, and then there's a forgiveness mandala and meditation. And the third one piece of it is you can apply for this, what I call discovery session, and that's fill out some questions and leave me your email and phone number and your name, and we'll have a dialogue, and we'll see how we can work together, because I really want to be there to support you, because these are my gifts, and this was the reason, this was the transformation for me, of taking my experience, was knowing that I need to share what worked for me with other people, you know, and so that's my gift, and transformation and triumph, you know, if you want to call it that. And so I want to be there to support you in any way I can. And if you feel so inclined that this is something that calls to you, I'd love to have a conversation with you and see how we can take it further. Because I do believe that there is value in having someone support you along the journey and guiding you closely. You know, I know I've invested in myself. I've worked with coaches. I've been working with somebody. I work with her 3 mornings a week, you know. I mean, so there's accountability there as well. That's the other piece of it, at least for me, that works really well. So, you know, I mean, we all have to find what works, and sometimes you have to take the time to invest in yourself, in money, time, and passion, and allow it to work with you and allow someone to help you along the way. Because sometimes we're scared to ask for help.
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, this is the thing. It's so for anybody who's listening, like this is for me and for all of us, right? Like contact Ray on her website if you'd like to speak to her about, you know, possibly setting up some, you know, like a session or a couple of sessions where, you know, she can do some guided.
Right. I'm doing it in a 30-day program, so it's, you know, 4 weeks. So I figure that way you get to know me, I get to know you.
Oh, that's
you know,
cool.
and but you need at least 4 weeks to work through some of these, you know, things. It's not just 2 minutes, but I think in that time you'll get comfortable. You'll know some of the things that you want to do for yourself and how much further you can take it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. That's awesome. I think that's really awesome, Ray. That's a wonderful thing you're doing. And I know, like, if you live in the Chicago area, right?
Correct.
Chicago, Illinois. Yeah, that's too bad. I wish I was a little closer.
Yeah, well, you know what? If you set it up and you can get me a workshop up there, I'll come up and do one.
Right. Hey,
you know, I'm open. I've been meeting a lot of people. I went to this eWomen Network conference, and there were a lot of people from Canada up there, you know, who were at the conference and stuff. So I would love to come up and do some workshops. I think it'd be a blast. Oh,
it would be, absolutely. I will just have to keep that one in mind. And, so I know.
Sure, the weather's good. I don't want to come in the middle of winter.
No, you definitely don't want to come. Well, I mean, you know, it's just a little cold, right? I mean, if you can come in the summer, much better. And you can get around and see stuff, right? It's too cold in the wintertime.
Yeah, I have enough cold here in Chicago. You know,
you do, I think we're about the same, right? So you need to come up when it's nice, because it's beautiful here in the summertime. I think this is wonderful. So anybody who's in the Chicago area, be sure and look up Ray and take a look at Ray's website, and it's http://www.ray Luskin LUSKIN. That's all one word. RayLuskin.net. Be sure and go there, because your website's awesome. It's just amazing.
Thank you. And I have I also have information about my book, Art from My Heart, which is a self-discovery journal that was written for children and families. You know, it's not, quote, about abuse, but it is there. It's about celebrating our gifts and talents, you know, and it's about teaching children to be compassionate and caring and giving them the confidence, you know. But there are certainly, it's another self-help tool if it calls to you. There's a whole section on body image and learning to love the body you have, which as survivors is definitely a tough one. You know, I know that from personal experience.
Yeah, and I think most of us do. So that's something that, you know, I mean, we all probably, you know, a lot of us can need help in, you know what I mean? Because we need, if we want to truly learn to love ourselves, you know, that means our whole selves.
Right.
You know, not just one part of ourselves. It's like, you know, that's like to be able to love our whole, you know, our whole body, mind, soul, and spirit. You know what I mean? And that's the wholeness. You know what I mean? So you're so right. Because, you know,
so that's available. There's a lot of little of everything. You know, I mean, it's a non-traditional website.
It's great. I love that website. It's
Thank you. I have a little of this. I have a little of this. A little of that.
Right. It's good.
That's who I am. That is me. I am a kaleidoscope of many. You know, they all come back to one thing, though. It's about, you know, nurturing self-worth, resilience, healing, and social change through creative expression. I mean, that and making the world a safe place for women and children. And unfortunately, I just was at a meeting, and they were talking about as many men are coming into agencies being abused today as almost women, which is very scary and you know,
it's horrific. It's just horrible. I mean, you know, like there's so many people out there.
Families, you know, it's like it should be. We want a world free from abuse, you know, of any form.
That's exactly right. So we'll just keep on working on it. So we have a minute left.
Right. And I'm I would love ideas. If anybody has ideas, I'm looking for creative ways to work with communities to create these safe and healing spaces, and I'm open. I have my ideas, and I'm open to any kind of dialogue, and you can just contact me on my contact page if you have any, because I value you. You're all out in the community doing wonderful work, and I would love to hear your ideas of how we can change society and create a safe space for survivors to come forward.
Mm-hmm. That's right. So everybody listening to that, make sure you get a hold of Ray. Contact her on her website.
Yeah, give me your ideas. I'd love to be able to put them into action.
That's awesome. That's awesome, Ray. Thank you so much for doing the show with me. This is so great. I know everybody that was here has gotten a lot out of this. They were all in the chat room having a great time. And thank you very much. I appreciate you taking the time to do this. Just awesome.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And I know we'll have to set up another date because I'm sure we'll have more to play with and talk about.
Absolutely. I would love that. I would love that. So thanks, Ray.
Thank you so much.
Yep, we'll be talking to you real soon.
All right, good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Have a great week.
Thanks,
everybody, for tuning in. That's just awesome. Thanks very much. We had a great time with Ray Luskin, and every time she comes on the show, it's an amazing time for me, and I know that everybody else feels the same way. Like, Ray is a beautiful person, and she's just a real hero to me and a real mentor, and I like to watch and follow what she's doing because she's always doing some great stuff, and I'm learning a lot from Ray Luskin. So be sure and check her website out, www.luskin.net. Be sure and go there and check it out. She has a great website. It's really worth taking a look. It'll take you a while to get around through there. There's lots and lots of info and beautiful things on there, but make sure you do go and check it out. And if you'd like to get in touch with her about some healing workshops, be sure and do, right? Have a great night, everybody, and we'll talk to you real soon. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Good night.